Year 8s, welcome back to Year 8 History with Mrs. Gill. We are looking at in this video your week 2 activities and what you need to do to be on top of your stuff and get it all finished by Friday week 2. So last week we looked at the maps of Mesoamerica, what countries were in the modern day area of Central America and around Mexico, and we also looked at some other ancient civilizations. In week 2, if we look at our guide, we're specifically looking this week at the Aztecs. We know the Aztecs were one of the groups in this area and they were one of the very powerful groups as well. So we're going to be looking at them in more detail in this lesson, and we've got some multiple choice questions and some true or false questions as well. If you finish week 2 stuff early, you do have the opportunity to do a bit of research about the Maya, which was the second most powerful group in Mesoamerica. So you can have a look at them as well. So we're going to scroll down past our week 1 activities. We're going to hit week 2 right here. So the Aztecs, the first part of our lesson, we have this box of information here. All of this is telling you about the capital city of the Aztecs called Tenochtitlan. So some of the T's are silent, and it is a bit of a tricky one to pronounce, but as long as you recognize that that's the capital city of the Aztecs, you're all good to go. So the Aztec capital city unfortunately does not exist today. It was starting to be built about 1,000 years ago, and the Spanish conquistadors, which we'll learn about them a little bit later, they actually invaded the capital city and destroyed a lot of the buildings. So all you need to do there is read that key information and then head down to the diagram. So this is an artistic interpretation of what the capital city of the Aztecs looked like. The key feature that you need to know about the capital city is that it was actually built in the middle of a lake. That lake is called Lake Texcoco. So it's a unique capital city and there's unique design features that they took into consideration when building it. We've got some examples on this page here. You can see A, B, C, and D. They actually match the descriptions down here. So A is looking at the pyramids that they built, B is looking at the streets, and looking at how they actually had ports for boats rather than cars because they did not need them. C is looking at the canals themselves that they built, so they're like streets, but they floated around their city. And D, these are called chinampas, or floating islands, and this is how they actually grew their crops in the middle of the lake. So your job for this diagram is to fill in the missing labels, and some examples have been done for you. Righto, down here, this is your instructions here. We're reading the paragraph, we're highlighting key information, we're filling in the missing labels with A, B, C, or D. And then lastly for this part, in your own words, describe what you actually see in this city. What is it like? What would it be like to be in the Aztec capital city? Moving down, we look into some everyday aspects of Aztec life. The first one is school. So this one here, this is your information, and down here we have 3 questions that are multiple choice. You need to highlight the best answer out of the 3. Only one of the answers are correct, so don't highlight 2 multiple choice answers, only one. Moving on, then we look at the food of Aztec life, and some foods that we actually eat every day in Australia were invented or cultivated and produced into food by the Aztecs over 1,000 years ago. So you need to read this information and then label the pictures below correctly. Some key facts to know is that corn was one of the main staple diets of the Aztecs. They didn't have wheat or potatoes, they were European things, but corn was their main one. Chocolate also, if you like chocolate, the Aztecs invented chocolate in its current form and also cultivated the cocoa tree, which is where chocolate comes from. Down here, we're looking at the Aztec life of farming. Specifically, we're looking at how they created these floating islands in the middle of a lake. And then this description here actually tells you how they designed and the stages that these chinampas were made. Then you've just got some true or false statements there. Put a T or an F depending on what you think the answer is. Moving on down here, we look at Aztec warfare. We know that the Aztecs were one of our biggest civilizations. If we skip back to our map we looked at in week 1, up here Here it is. So we know that the Aztecs are in the pink area here. We have the Olmec here, and then we also have the Maya here as well. So the Aztecs were in war, and they did fight with the Olmec and the Maya, and other civilizations which are actually further down the map that came in a little bit later. So if we go back down to our information about Aztec warfare, we now know that there were people for the Aztecs to fight. There's some key differences, however, so I would suggest go through and highlighting the information, the key stuff that stands out to you. You need to list different people in the Aztec army, and then you need to think about why some Aztec warriors dressed like animals and what kind of effect that would have on the Olmec or the Maya that they were fighting. The last one is a fill in the blanks. So where the dots are is where you need to either finish the sentence or put in a word. This is directly from the grey text, so you don't need to make up the words in there. It should match that quite easily. That is all you need to complete for week 2. Again, if you are struggling with anything, please email me or call the school. I'm happy to help wherever I can. If you do finish your work early before Friday week 3, email me and let me know that you're done. Or if you've been typing, email me the finished copy so I can check your answers straight away and give you feedback very quickly. If you are submitting on paper, you do need to submit it back by Friday week 10, and you also need to pick up your next paper copy for weeks 3 to 4. Have a good week, guys. Keep up the good work, and I'll see you soon.